What's up, YouTube? So in this video, I'm going to talk about validating your ideas. So that way you don't do what I did in the past and pour a lot of time, money, and energy into developing something that just has no market and just isn't a good idea. So to tell this story about idea validation, I have to go all the way back to 2011. That's when I started really getting into side hustles and just working on various projects to improve my skills and just learn. I like to think of myself as a serial creator. I love to create things. I love the journey of taking an idea and turning it into something physical that people can use. I love that. And so I really got deep into that. And deep meaning every idea that I had, I would try I would try to develop. I would try to turn it into something. Now that's everything from a video game review site to a early LinkedIn, which coincidentally is a really good idea. But at the time, there was already a LinkedIn. But I was trying to create something similar, but for a different segment of people at the time. I started a video game search engine. That was my first try at actually coding something for the first time myself. And I'm not a professional coder. I learned basically by breaking a lot of websites, trying to create them for my side hustles and just doing a little bit of research and stuff like that. So that's how I learned how to code. Not on a professional level, but enough to be dangerous, so to speak. I started a lot of stuff. And this was a stretch of probably 3 years of working on side projects from 2011 to 2014, so around 4 years. And it got to the point where I took a step back and really kind of just had a conversation with myself like, hey, I know I like to create things, but I'm wasting a lot of time, money, and energy on developing these ideas, and I keep losing passion for them. I keep wasting money buying domain names, WordPress themes, plugins, all that stuff, and they're not working. So I need to take a step back and really think through the next idea that I want to create. And keep in mind, I was deep in the marketing world at the time. So I was doing marketing and working on side hustles, which I still do to this day. And there's this concept in the marketing world of lead generation. So you put out content, you put what's called a gate in front of that content. People have to give you their contact information in order to receive said content. And I was doing this for years on the content side. It didn't register with me at the time that you can use that same concept to validate your ideas. And I started digging further into that and started realizing that a lot of online marketers, a lot of online entrepreneurs were using lead capture forms and landing pages to validate ideas for businesses, for ideas, for everything. And obviously a light bulb went off. And again, me being a serial creator, I knew I was going to have another idea sooner or later. I was going to want to scratch that itch. But I told myself before I go forward, I need to validate that idea. And that's what I did. So in 2014, Startups Give Back was actually the very first idea that I've ever had that I actually validated. And I attribute a lot of the success that we've seen thus far to that, because I was able to see that there was actually interest in the idea before putting a lot of time and money into it. So to give you an idea of how this all came about, so at the time, launchrock.com was popping. It was the recommended website that all online entrepreneurs were recommending people to use to validate ideas and to test other things too. And so what I did is, and keep in mind, launchrock.com at the time was free. I think it might still be free today. I haven't used it in a while. I use MailChimp now, and I'll get to that in a second. I started a free account and created a landing page. And all I did was put a description about Startups Give Back, what I was trying to build. That I put a lead capture form. A lead capture form, for those who don't know what they are, it's essentially a way to collect contact information. So you can collect a person's first name, last name, email address, phone number, address, whatever you want. You can ask them questions, and all that information is valuable because you're getting an understanding of who that person is. And also that ideally goes to a email management platform where you store all those email addresses. That way you can start emailing them in the future. And so what I did was I started the landing page and then I started sharing it wherever I could on social media. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. An important question to ask yourself is, when is enough interest a signal to you that I should go forward with this idea? It's going to be different for everyone. There is no right or wrong answer. It really comes down to you and what you really want. For me, I was trying to get to 100 email addresses. I wanted 100 people to say, yes, we're interested in this idea. Here's my email address. Let me know when Startups Get Back officially launches. I only got to 10 before I was like, you know what? I'm going to go forward with this idea. And the reason is because the quality of the email addresses. Here's what I mean. So originally, like I said, I wanted to get to 100. But as time went on and people kind of slowly trickled in, it got to 10 people. But it was who gave me their information that the light bulb went off. I was like, okay, I need to go forward, even though I don't have 100 people's contact information. And so I'm not sure if she's with the company anymore, but at the time, I believe she was like the director of philanthropy or director of something at the Case Foundation. And the Case Foundation is a foundation that was started by Steve Case, the founder of AOL. And I believe his wife, Jean Case, actually runs it too. I think they might actually be co-founders. But that signaled to me that, oh, somebody who is in this world of social impact and philanthropy and in it big time is actually interested in what Startups Get Back is all about. So really, it only took one email address for me to be motivated and jazzed about this and want to develop it. But again, it's going to be different for everyone. And it also depends on the product or service that you're trying to create. You might have a physical product that you're trying to sell. So having 100 people give you their contact information might be more. It might be a better situation for you rather than just one person or 10 people with one person having a solid email address from a big name organization. And so that's how it all got started. And so today I still validate my ideas. No matter what it is, I validate it because, and I kid you not, I've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on domain names, plugins, WordPress themes, hosting, all these things. And it gets really expensive. And I got tired of spending all that money on ideas that just weren't working. And so that's why I started validating my ideas. So from Startups Get Back to Social Impact World to Content Dojo, Changemaker Forum, and all the other ideas that I have, I always validate them before I move forward. So that's kind of one side of idea validation, right? The contact information, people showing interest. There's also another side, which is, will people actually give you money, right? Interest is good, but will people actually give you money? And here's an example of just hustling and trying to find somebody who would actually give you money. I mentioned Content Dojo. So Content Dojo, I started it this year, 2020, early 2020, and essentially it's right now at least, a Slack community for content marketers. By profession, I'm a content marketer. I've been a content marketer for over 8 years. And so I wanted to create a Slack community for people like myself. And so I started it. It's been growing. Great. It's super engaging. So that idea worked, and I actually validated that idea first. I created a landing page and whatnot and had people sign up, and then I added them to the Slack channel. So that was part of the idea validation. The other part was the money part. So a person that I am connected to on LinkedIn, we haven't corresponded that much over the years. It's not like we have a personal relationship or anything like that. But I know he runs a growth marketing conference. And it's a big one. I've been to it. It's a really good conference. And so I sent him a LinkedIn message. So I knew that they had a virtual summit coming up in August. Now, it's kind of late in the game to be promoting that. And I knew that it would probably be a harder sell. But I do know that they are going to have another conference later next year. And whether it will be in person or virtual, that remains to be seen, but it doesn't matter. I know from my time organizing conferences that typically once an event is over or a conference is over, usually that company will take maybe a few weeks off or kind of to decompress and kind of debrief and learn from a previous event. But they start planning relatively quickly. They wipe out the old website, they renew the website, they take out all the speakers, they start asking people to speak, they call for speakers out, all that stuff, because they want to get ahead. And they start promoting really early too, even if it's just RSVPs and there's no money being exchanged. They want people to sign up in advance so that they don't start from essentially zero. So I reached out to him on LinkedIn and said, hey, I know you're going to have a conference later next year. I have a community of content marketers. I know that they will get value from attending your conference because I've been there. We are opening up advertising relatively soon. When it does launch, would you be interested in exploring promoting your conference to my community? And he replied within about a day and a half and said, Jeremy, 100%. That's it. Again, we don't have a personal relationship. I literally cold LinkedIn messaged him. So now I validated that somebody would actually give me money to promote their product, service, or in this case, conference to my community. And now from there, I can scale that out. I can go find other conferences, for example, that are in the marketing world and reach out to those individuals and ask them the same thing, and then continue to grow and grow and grow from there. So now I have both sides of the idea validation coin covered. I have the general interest, and then I have the interest in terms of somebody giving me money to do something with my idea, whether it be a membership or promoting a product, whatever it might be. I have a validation on that end too. And so that is the power of idea validation. And now and because I did validate that with the conference, that gives me a little bit better of idea of the type of person I should be targeting if indeed that advertising is going to be a big component to my business model for Content Dojo, for example. I have a better sense of who I should be reaching out to. So there's a lot of benefits to validating your idea first. And I didn't have to waste much time. That's the best part. I didn't have to waste much money or time getting this started, all because I validated up front. And then once I had the website live because of the validation and people were becoming members and it kept growing and growing and growing, now we can start looking at monetizing and the different models around that and figuring out who I should be reaching out to and who can actually give me money for participation in this idea, if you will. So that's idea validation. And so now today, I don't use launchrock.com very much. I use MailChimp because it's basically an all-in-one solution for me. I use MailChimp as my email platform where I send emails, I collect contact information, and they also have a feature where you can create your own landing pages. So it all plugs in, so you don't need to do any integrations or have two separate products and use Zapier, for example, to connect them. You don't need to do all that. It's all in one. So I use MailChimp now. And so I encourage you, if you have an idea that you're sitting on and you're really itching to start a business, a side hustle, whether it's full-time or part-time, or just you have an idea that you just want to launch out there in the world and just see where it goes, I encourage you to validate before you put a lot of time, money, and energy into actually developing it. Because you might find out that, hey, this idea, which I thought was a good idea, is really not a good idea. And now, look, you save some money because you're using free tools to validate your idea. So that is your Frugal Founder hack of the day. Validate, validate, validate. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get an alert every time a new video is released. With that being said, I'll see you on the next episode of Frugal Founder Hacks.